It's a fun topic to begin with. It's one of those few topics that everyone's interested in, no matter what.
It's affecting everybody.
Because
Yeah.
everybody is looking for a way, even if they're in a good relationship, they're still curious. What can I do? What can how can I improve? You found yourself a really golden niche. That's a really good business to be in because
But what he was doing really well when he understood, because I said, I can't relax until I know this stuff
yeah,
are done. I can't
yeah,
just go have sex and then come back and do that. So
yeah,
he will come and help me do that. Acts of service was my love language because he will do the dishes while I was putting my son to bed. That created an hour for us to be together. So
right,
everybody was happy.
right, right. Ladies, just make a guy a sandwich. Just Mario Bex told me that there was this beautiful Romanian dating coach that I had to get on my channel. So okay, I'll twist my arm. So. This is the Hey Ed YouTube channel, and I am your host, moderator, and all around nice guy, Edward Anderson. And in my ongoing quest to bring you fascinating personalities to meet that you would otherwise never meet, boy, do I have a really interesting one for you guys. You should definitely, you know, put your phones down, turn off your cell phone, get your coffee. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. So with me today is a beautiful Romanian dating/relationship coach. Yep, you heard me right. Yep. What the heck, Ed? Yeah, this is going to be fascinating. I've been looking forward to this interview for weeks. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce Christina Davy. How you doing, Christina?
So excited to be here, and share this moment with you. Thank you so much for inviting me.
You're welcome. First of all, how badly did I mess up your last name? Is it Davy or Davy?
No, it's Davy.
It
It's
is.
Davy.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Davy.
And it's definitely not a Romanian. It's definitely not a Romanian name.
So let's start with that because you're Romanian by birth. Now you're living in Australia. So how did that happen?
I actually used to live in States as well. I lived in Florida for 3.5 years back. Was it 2006, 2009? Until the property market crashed, and then because we are on a working visa, we had to leave. We couldn't be there anymore. So yeah, so I traveled quite a bit during my lifetime, and I'm very grateful for it. Though I know I created because my desire to travel was
Mm.
so big. From an early stage. I remember being in high school, and I come from a poor family, and in high school I had some friends that went into an excursion in Europe, and you're so new to us because being in a communist country, we didn't really, and even right after that, after the revolution, we didn't get to travel. Like we didn't really have visas. It was very hard. Like you had to have a strong reason to go, and it was such an unheard thing. So when I saw my colleagues going, I was so upset that I couldn't go, and I just told myself one day I'm going to travel more than any of them. That's what. That's exactly what. That's exactly what
Excellent.
happened.
Which part of Romania did you grow up in?
I was born and raised in Bucharest. I
Bucharest.
lived
Okay.
for,
All right. I'm
yeah.
looking at my Romanian map right now. In case you gave me a name, I didn't look at the map and see. Romania is one of those countries on my wish list that I really want to see. I want to see Romania and Hungary and Poland and Croatia and Serbia. I really want to see that part of the country. And it's a beautiful part of the world. And for me, I'm fascinated with that area because when I was growing up, during the Cold War and stuff, and we didn't really know what was going on behind the Iron Curtain, right? We didn't really, yeah, Romania. I got to get to Romania. So, and I know it's different now because it's not a communist state anymore. So, when did you move from Romania?
So I had this desire to travel and to be free, right? Because I grew up in such a restricted country, and with such my father was quite strict as well. I wasn't allowed to go like twice out on a Saturday, like if I went out this Saturday, I couldn't go out the next Saturday kind of thing. And I always had to check in and let them know what I was. And for me, I didn't quite understand as a teenager. You don't understand that they're just looking out for you. They just worry for you, right? I just see it as I can't do what I want. So I wanted to be free, and I thought, well, I just have to leave home. So when I was 2021, one opportunity has arisen for me to go and work on cruise ships. And I didn't really care what I was going to do. I just wanted to go, right? So I started this cleaning up the cabins like a cabin steward. And initially it was really exciting because I was visiting countries and, having a lot of fun, meeting a lot of people. But then the job in itself was really boring. So I thought, well, I want to do something else. What am I going to do? So I applied for Carnival Cruise Line, and I went and worked in the bar on Carnival Cruise Line. And then I met my, what's now ex-husband on a cruise ship. And I literally traveled the world. I was in the industry for about 12 years. I met thousands of people. I was an art auctioneer. I was a pawn shopping guide. It's been so much fun. And I literally got to see the world, which was like incredible. So if you have ever asked me, hey, Christina, would you like to move to Australia? You can live there. It's going to be awesome. I'll be like, no, not really, because I'd never had the desire to come to live to Australia. But my ex-husband was Australian, and as I said, we end up being here. And wow, what a journey has been to get here. Considering what I started from, like we had days when we didn't have money to buy bread. We had, my mom was shot in the revolution in the house. So she was unable to take care of us for a long time. Considering my upbringing, I was born and raised up until 9 in the worst neighborhood in Bucharest, the capital of Romania. So considering what I've been, and where I am now, it's like a massive difference in what I was able to achieve. So never, ever, ever, let where you came from stop you from reaching, whatever you want in life, because you create it all. And that's why I decided to become a dating and relationship coach as well, because I have the skill, and I know how you can create the love that you want for yourself. And I want to teach everyone to do that too.
Well, you're my new hero. That your story and the whole idea that everyone out there can be a master of their own fate. Just a matter of wanting it enough, and then doing it. I mean, everybody has daydreams. I don't care who they are. Everybody has those little moments during every day when they wonder, what if I did this? What if I did that? They daydream. Everyone does it. But it's the rare person who actually takes steps toward those goals. All right. So now for the real fun part. How did you become a relationship/dating coach? How did that happen?
I know. Sometimes I'm wondering myself, like, oh. Again, I got married, and after 15 years of being with the same person, a person who I dearly love, and he loved me as well, I realized that I just couldn't be in that relationship. He was cheating, and I didn't know how to change that. And I didn't have the relationship skills. Basically, if I knew then what I know now, I'll have saved my marriage, but I didn't. And we tried everything, couples therapy on our own. We've seen psychologists in States, in Australia, and eventually for me it was pretty much a matter of like, I need to get out of here or I'm going to die. So my mental health went really down, and I just felt like I couldn't stay in that relationship anymore. So it was a really sort of that moment in my life, because I thought I'm going to die with this person. I thought this is my forever. And when that ended, I felt incapable of continuing. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was a single mother with a 3-year-old in a country thousands and thousands of kilometers from my own family. And I only had a few friends, and I also lost my job 3 days before I took the decision to divorce. I was laid off. So I felt burned down. I was like, what am I going to do? What is it for me from now on? I didn't realize how, by expressing, and if you think law of attraction, expressing your desires about, I wanted a passionate relationship. I wanted the best relationship, that's out there, a relationship that can inspire others. And I couldn't have it with my ex-husband. So because my desire was so strong, I literally had to burn down everything that I had to start new. But when you are in the middle of a divorce and property settlement and kids custody and all of that, you don't you don't see that. You don't feel like, it's happening for you, right? So 7 months after my divorce, I thought, I'm gonna go and get my mojo back. I'm gonna start dating. And I've never done online dating or up until that stage. So I didn't really know what I was doing. So I met a guy, and I remember asking, I want lots of passion. I want someone that's going to make me his number one.
Yeah.
And I got that and a lot more. And unfortunately, because I had a lot of anger, I didn't heal my wounds from my marriage. I didn't feel good enough. I didn't feel worthy of love because I thought, why on earth would he cheat on me? Like it must be something wrong with me, right? So I had a lot of anger, resentment, trapped in my body, and I was depressed. I ended up being depressed. I had um, um, I just didn't feel good about myself. So I carry all of that baggage with me in my new relationship. And unfortunately, he had that too from another relationship. So imagine two depressed people, angry, full of resentment, and in love. It didn't end up too good. So I ended up in a toxic relationship. It was toxic because we overstayed. We stayed a lot longer than we should have. We felt that we couldn't live without each other, but we were not suited for each other. And in the end, I end up being in a domestic violence situation where he hit me, strangled me. Uh, and that was a big wake up call for me. I realized, well, I need to change. If I want anything in this life, I have to change. I have to learn how to have it. So I was sitting on Facebook 2 days after my, what happened, and scrolling. And I saw this guy, he was talking about self-sabotage and how you can change your life. And I had absolutely no idea what I was going to get myself into it. I just knew I'm going to change. So I signed up for the program, went there, and it was an NLP program, neuro-linguistic programming. So he was talking about how you can become a coach and help other people. And I was like, how can I help other people when I can't help myself? But when I noticed how much I transformed in 5 days, I became a completely brand new person. I started believing. And I thought, why doesn't everybody know that it is possible to change fundamentally in such a short time? This should be on every light pole, like everybody should know it is possible for you to have what you want, to be who you want with the right guidance and the right skill. So I decided I'm going to become a coach. So I was helping people with depression and anxiety. And then I realized most of them had relationship problems. So it was a calling for me. And I just tune in. And then I just, learn. I attended various relationship programs. I invested in myself continuously. And here I am now, guiding women creating the love that they want, learning about themselves and to understand themselves, so they understand who fits, their life, who can you create, because you can't create what you want, the relationship that you want, with anyone. It has to be someone that you resonate, you feel aligned with. Because if you are with someone, for example, that he wants to travel, and in Australia you go with a caravan, and there's so much to do in Australia, right? Because it's so big, and he just wants to kind of enjoy, and you're like career driven, and you want to create something, and you want to change the world or contribute in somehow, you're going to have very different directions in life. No matter if it's love, at one point there's going to be a misalignment because you don't want the same things. You are motivated by by different, you might have similar values, as in, you appreciate someone who's trusting, or honesty will be there. But then the direction in your life in the future, sometimes we forget to look at that to know if we are in the right relationship. We're just looking at like how it feels right now. Oh my God, like this is nice, this is exciting, there's a lot of lust if you have a great sex as well, right? There's like, ooh, right, you feel the high vibe and you just jump into it, and then 12 months down the track you go like, oh, this is not going the same way, which is, one of the realizations I had I had a beautiful, by the way, 11 months after. Am I talking too much?
No, don't, keep going.
11 months after I went into that domestic violence situation, I met a wonderful man, because I've done the work. I let go of all the emotional baggage. I've rediscovered myself. I knew who I was. So I met this wonderful person, and I had a beautiful 3 years relationship until, during the relationship, I kept asking him, like, what do you want to do? What do you want to create? What do you want to do in life? And he wasn't quite sure. Like, he knew he wanted to be there for his kids, and that was kind of, and helping his parents, but that was kind of where we were stopping. And then at one point, I realized that we actually didn't want the same things anymore, and that was the moment when I said, well, why don't we just, we had a lot of love and a lot of polarity. It was still exciting, but I decided to let him go with love and go into a pursuit of what's right for me, and allowed him to meet what's right and who's right for him. Mm-hmm. Because we can all have what we want.
Do you work with both men and women, or just women?
So on one-on-one, I work with both men and women, but I have a group program where I'm teaching actually dating and relationship skills. And that's specifically exclusively for women, because I really believe women have so much power when it comes to a relationship, and how to really create the love into an encounter between a male and a female.
I'm curious about this. So you grew up in Romania, and you're an adult when you left Romania, right? So you had your formative years in Romania, and Romania, I'm assuming, is a pretty traditional society, right? I'm assuming the roles are well defined. The men have their roles and the women have their roles. Am I right in that assumption?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So it's a traditional society. I consider myself a traditional man at heart, with a modern, nice overlay. I respect women's rights to do whatever they want and all the rest of it. But I remember when I got married. I'm divorced now, but I got 18 years in. But I remember when I got married, I took my vows really seriously, and that was it. And for me, one of the sexiest things about being married is the idea that person's mine forever. No one else can have her. That's a real intoxicating idea for me. And whatever issues that you have along the way, you figure it out. You know that there are going to be periods, there are going to be rough patches, but you tough your way through it. That was my determination. I won't go into my situation here because it'd be too long of a video. When I look at modern society here, where kids now, they got all sorts of electronic ways to filter through. Swipe left, swipe right. I want this. My worry is that too many ladies, and men for that matter, these days have too high standards. I'm not going to settle. I know exactly what I want. I respect your opinion so much because you're right in the middle of it, and you're right in the thick of it. So I'm going to give you my take as a layman or whatever. You tell me where I'm wrong. I'm trying to flush out a thought here. When I was growing up, the way you met a person is you see a cute girl across the room, you got to get yourself over there and you got to say hello. And then you get to know her the old-fashioned way. You go on dates, you ask the questions. You don't get to know them by reading their profile. You go there, you do the hard work. I guess I long for the good old-fashioned days where they have to do the work. They get to know each other. Am I completely off base, or?
Yes, like I know, I agree with you. We have so many choices now, okay? And the truth is that the world really has changed dramatically, like with significant implications in our relationships as well. Because we have choices and options, right? It makes it easier to quit rather
Yeah,
than work
that's my
on, right?
word. That's exactly my point. It's easy to
But
quit
at the
now.
same Yeah, but at the same time, people used to try very, very hard to save a relationship with the wrong person. And wrong, not because one person was wrong and one was right, but wrong in the sense that they were not a good match. And people choose to stay. My mom and dad are still together. They have like 40 odds, I don't know how many years together, but they're miserable together. Well, they have good moments too, but they're not really happy. They're not fulfilled. They're not feeling like their needs are being met. So we are now free to choose to choose our partner, to divorce, to choose the profession that we want, to express ourselves, to provide for ourselves, to choose to have or not have kids in a relationship or outside the relationship through IVF. So with that, the need of a man or a woman in our life, really, that tension has diminished, because now we are, both men and women are able to survive without each other. We're not living in that role-based relationship model like we actually, and that's why the confusion. I actually talk about this in my group program, Love Map. We are brought up by parents who were modeling a role-based relationship. The man is the provider, the woman stays home, take care of the kids or cooking, or right. But that's shifted now. So we're navigating this a bit blind. We kind of make it as we go, because we didn't have a good role model in our parents to, like, that's old now, old fashioned, or it's not really matching those rules. That programming is not matching the reality we are in, the society we are in now, because we have the freedom to be who we want to be and live the life on our own terms. So when we don't like it, we can easily divorce. Before, it used to be a taboo. It was embarrassing. It was so
Yeah,
when
it was shameful.
it was a lot of motivation to try to make it
Yeah,
work, or just don't talk about it.
yeah.
Nobody should know, right? So a woman doesn't need a man to provide for her because she can provide for herself, and a man doesn't need a woman to take care of him because he can equally take responsibilities at home and be a parent as well, right? So it means, all this means that the paradigms has really changed and there are no rules for it anymore. So everybody kind of has to come up with new rules. We are really in a situation now where we're becoming more spiritual as well. So our needs in a relationship has changed, if this makes sense, right? So meeting people has never been easier because of access to it, but also at the same time harder because of the expectations we have. We expect the other person to bring happiness to us, bring joy, bring the connection. Like, people go on a date and expect the other person to connect. Like, I talk to a lot of women who are like, I didn't feel any connection. And I'm like, well, have you created any? Because
Good.
people are not aware they can create connection. You can create attraction. You can create chemistry is really the polarity between the two energy. If you are aware, and for our audience, right, those who heard about the energies within ourselves, masculine and feminine, right? So if I am in my feminine energy and you are in your masculine energy, we can create a great polarity and create chemistry. So we can have a laugh, and we can, I can completely turn it on, right? And create that attraction, create that connection. But somebody that's not aware of it and thinks it's just happening with the right person. It's not just happening. There's a reason why it's happening. It's happening because there's polarity between. So if you think about two magnets, I don't know if I have my magnets here. Yeah, here we go. So opposites attract. So attraction is really two different poles, and that's what brings you together, creates chemistry. So if you are mysterious enough to me and I see signs of like, I'm going to be like, I want to know more, right? In order to sustain a relationship, you need to bond. So now, to have attraction, you need to have differences. So most people are attracted to someone that has what they don't have. For example, I am very emotional, intuitive, spiritual. So I used to be attracted to guys who were good at maths and very rational, because I wasn't like that. So I used to be attracted to that. But then there's also, with that, there's duality, there's a contrast to it, because a person that's very rational and mathematical into their thinking, it's clashing with a lot of my beliefs of take a leap of faith, just trust and believe. A person who's mathematical would be like, no. 1 + 1 = 2. So how do we break this down to make it happen? So there are challenges, right? So anyway, going back to attraction and polarity and all of that. So now attraction is formed when we are attracted to someone that has something different than we do. But then if there's too much of that, it creates conflict. So in order for us to create a long-lasting relationship, we also have to have similarities so we can bond, share interests, things to do together, right? Share beliefs. And that's how we make it happen. So when we are not quite aware about ourselves, what's important to us, what are we trying to avoid in life, where am I going, right? Like where do I see myself 5-10 years from now on, so I know, is this person coming with me or not? So now, because and this is what I do in my program, Become the One. I call it Become the One. It's my one-on-one program, and I call it Become the One because the truth is, many of us have to become the person who can experience the relationship that we want. Because if the relationship is here and we are here vibrationally from a law of attraction point, we can't get there. We have to go through certain experiences to get there. So each partner we have is getting us closer to that. We're not really meant to be with one person our entire life. We're not designed that way because we are constantly changing and growing. Who you were when you met your wife, your ex-wife, you're not the same person right now.
No.
So unless you grow the same, you're not going to be a match. You're not going to continue to be a match unless you are aligned in the direction that you're going towards.
Oh, excellent points. Now, in my situation, because it is relevant to the point. Okay, so in my case, my heart got broken pretty bad. So it wasn't my idea, and it took me years to kind of come to grips with that. I've got a theory, and I'm going to run this by you, and I'm going to reveal my Neanderthal side to you. My theory is that men are pretty simple to make happy. If I'm out in the yard cutting grass, and my sweetheart comes out, she makes a sandwich for me. I didn't ask for it. It's her idea. She brings it out to me, and it's cut sideways, horizontal. That's real love when it's in triangle. And she gives me a pickle along with it, and maybe a cold glass of beer. And then she walks away. She doesn't wait. She doesn't say anything. Gives me the sandwich, gives me the beer, turns around and walks away. And I'm thinking, okay, that's love. That person, she made me a sandwich. I didn't even ask for it. I'm a happy man. So agree, disagree, or?
I agree with you. So that's why I choose to work with women, because as I was saying earlier, women have a lot more power. They don't understand how much power they have in actually creating the relationship that they want, because a man will respond to the woman energy. So if she just comes with a sandwich, you feel love because if acts of service, it's your love language, right? That makes you feel love, important, appreciated for what you do, right? But now with that, imagine she comes out, she smiles and she's really open. And she goes like, oh, babe, you're awesome. Thank you so much for doing this. It means a lot to me. And I thought you might be hungry. Here's your favorite sandwich, and she gives you kiss on the cheek, right? And she rubs your back and she's like, ooh, you should do this without the shirt on. Now that's taking it to the next level, right? So now what I have created is sexual tension, more feelings of love and connection, And that is food for the soul, it's food for the heart to keep going. But if she just comes out and she's like, I told you to stop doing the grass, the like cut it so short because it gets burned. Here's your sandwich, like you never listen. That's a very different.
That's a different conversation. Yeah. That's a whole different vibe. Let me ask you, I got so much stuff I want to ask you about. That's why I'm jumping around. I got a whole mental list. Oh man, I'm trying to cram it in while I got you. With all the opportunities out there, when you talk to women, do you say to them, I want you to be picky? Or do you say you should be willing to look beyond the obvious things and give other guys a chance?
Well, it really depends on the situation. So I can say both, right? For example, I don't think we should settle because it really depends what's important to you. For example, in my marriage, I settled. We had a massive problem was the lack of intimacy, right? So I couldn't understand it. And I felt like, well, I'm not attractive, right? So he doesn't want to have sex with me or he's not enjoying sex because I'm not good. But then I also knew I had great sexual relationships before. So I'm like, well, it's got to be him. So I pointed fingers at him. And then because he was such a great man, he was responsible, he was kind, he was gentle, he was a provider, he was, a good person. I thought myself, well, maybe sex is not important and I'm just going to ignore it because I am in a great relationship. So what I did, I deny myself actually something that was extremely important to me, which was sex in a relationship really keeps the polarity, really keeps, keeps it going, right? It's a higher level of connection and more intimate level of connection, getting to know that person, be vulnerable in a way that you're not with anyone else, right? Or in the traditional sense, right? Because now we talk about poly and, all sort of different other relationships, which is fine. And this, we are evolving. So I stayed in that relationship thinking, oh, sex is not important, and hypnotizing myself, oh, sex is not important, sex is not important. Guess what happened? Sex was actually very important to me. And because I couldn't connect with my husband that way, I started resenting him. So I don't think settling is a good thing. I agree with what you're saying. Women tend to be a lot more picky than men because women have to have a sense of safety with a man that the men don't need from a woman necessarily, not as strong. A man needs to be safe in a relationship too, in a sense that he's appreciated, he has the freedom to do what he wants. He feels supported by his woman to pursue his aspirations, right? But for a woman, the woman needs to know, are you the right guy who I can procreate? Are you going to be strong enough, right? Not just financially, but strong enough emotionally? Do you have the right threads to support me and my babies?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I'm going to be vulnerable and I'm not going to be able to, are you going to be able to hold space for me? So sometimes what a man is putting out there, it's actually making a woman feel not safe enough. And again, not in a sense that he's going to bash her or anything like that. Uh-huh. Safe in a sense like, are you going to be able to go and kill the bear, when you need to? And that comes in many, many forms. What happens now, and this is important to understand, kids tend to grow up a lot more with the mothers than with the fathers because we have such a high divorce rate. So mothers tend to educate their kids to be nice, to be in this sort of pleasing energy. And what happens is the message we send to our kids is that you gotta be nice, you gotta be, but the nice guy, sometimes it's simply too nice.
Yep.
And that for a woman sometimes, okay, it's not a sign of weakness, but not enough evidence you're going to be strong enough to protect me.
Yeah, no, I think it is a sign of weakness. If I think that is a big problem. Too many boys are being brought up by single mothers, And so they're being brought up in a feminine energy. They're not taught how to be a man. And so when he becomes of dating age, he's not going to be seen as a masculine figure. He's not going to be seen. A woman isn't going to have confidence in that person to defend and provide for the family. That's a real issue. And now we got probably a couple of generations now of men who grew up in those kind of environments. So I think we're seeing a feminization, a demasculization of society. When I think masculinity is a very valuable thing, every woman should be looking for a monster, but a monster with a heart, a monster who's going to take care of her and take care of her kids. He's going to do whatever he has to take care of his family.
What I teach in one of the things that I teach in my program, and I help women get awareness around, is what are your musts, what are your shoulds, and what are your non-negotiables when it comes to a partner. In dating, we have different standards than we have when we go in a relationship. What has to happen for me on the first date in order to know if I want to go on a second date, it's different to what has to happen for me to be in a relationship. So if I look at like, is this the one, right? Then he has to meet this, and you only have like this much time. You don't have a lot of time you just gotta swipe and look at like the 3 lines that he brought into his profile if you're lucky, right? To kind of get an educated opinion, like have an educated opinion and like go, okay, this is a yes or no. So on an online app, it really is about like attraction, as in like physical attraction. People have different standards. I tell women have a lot of body issues, right? Like one of the biggest problem, with women is that the way they perceive themselves, that they look, they think that, they don't have what it takes. So women sometimes don't put themselves out there because of that reason. But men also think that, because literally think about it. When you look at the profile, most of the time it's just a photo. And if you're not really good at taking photos, or you post a photo from like 10 years ago and it's like really far and,
yeah.
Right. So there are many things to consider, but so it's based on attraction. Now, who we are attracted to sometimes is based on of what we've been in the past as well. We have certain programs already running in our heads, right? So a certain person will inspire us something completely different. For example, I wasn't in facial hair. I didn't like facial hair at all, but my last partner had facial hair. And when I will look on an app, if somebody had facial hair, I wouldn't even look at them. Like, facial hair. Right? But then I met the person, my ex-partner actually came to buy my pool table. I didn't know him. He just came knocking at my door and, to come to pick up the pool table, and one thing led to another. So he had facial hair, and because of other things that I really liked about him, the facial hair became a should, not a non-negotiable. So it used to be a non-negotiable, facial hair, but because I interacted with that person and I felt really good around him, I was like, well, actually the facial hair is not really a bigger deal. Like, it kind of bothered me initially, but he trimmed it, when he became aware, I communicated that, and he trimmed it a little bit and kept it neat, and we found the middle ground, right? So understanding what's a must. For example, a must for me, a man has to have a job. What's a must for you in a woman?
She cannot have a chihuahua.
But can you see how that's a negative? She cannot, right?
So right. If I've got a dog yapping at me, that'd be a turn off. Sorry, ladies. Me or the dog.
What would be a positive? What would be a positive of that?
A nice smile. Good teeth, like really good, straight teeth, and because some people, when they smile, you see their teeth. Other people, I like when a woman smiles, you see teeth. So a nice smile.
That's right. So now, if you see a woman smiling in a photo online, you'll make you swipe right. But so that 2 seconds that you have, right, on swiping, it's like bullet points. You go by bullet points because you don't have enough information. So I encourage women to I do say, hey, if it's someone that you could see yourself a little bit with, open the conversation. Because sometimes women are like, oh, there's no one in my area. And I'm like, yes, they are. Okay. But you got to really allow yourself to interact with that person. So I always recommend chat a little bit. If the person is articulate and you feel like it's someone you could have a quick call with, jump on a video call and have an interaction and see how you connect with that person. Then go on a date.
Do you find women nowadays relying solely on these apps, or do some of them want to get out there to meet people the old-fashioned?
Actually, a lot of them, because I work with a lot of women in personal development world as well. So, and they're not. It's really funny because, like, you think that people in the personal development world that they are single, they all are also online. But I think sometimes they get discouraged because they think, well, they go in a few dates and there are a lot of people that they're not working on themselves, and then they go like, oh, there's no one there. But the truth is that you just really need to have a better screening process, which is why I do Love Map, because you learn a way of how to date and how to screen people, and what we really need to understand is that dating is a process of self-discovering and getting to know people. So as you go, the more dates you go on, is like going for a job interview. Have you noticed how, back in the day when you went for a job interview, right? The first interview was like, the second one was a little bit better, the third one was a little bit better, and so on, because you learn in the process. Dating is the same thing. Like now, because I had this experience with the facial hair with my ex, right? Now I can consider a man with facial hair because I realized I had clarity. Well, facial hair is, or no facial hair is a preference. It's a should. It's not a non-negotiable, and it's not a must. A guy being bald or having hair, or let's just say having hair, right? It's a preference. But overall, if I connect with this person, right, then it's okay. I went on a date recently. Well, it wasn't supposed to be a date, but it kind of turned up in a date. And when I got there, because I never met this person was actually shorter than I thought. Not shorter than me, but because I had heels, he was. Right. And I was like, oh, because it's good to, like, when you have someone that's a bit bigger in you feel a bit more protected,
right. Yeah.
Like,
that's natural.
right?
Yeah.
So I was a bit like, and then I had to sit with myself and ask myself, well, is this a must, a non-negotiable, or a should? And I realized it's a should, because overall for me, what's important is what belief systems he goes by, what he wants in life, how he speaks, is he being respectful? Is he someone driven? Is he someone like who's achieving goals? Is he someone kind? Is it like there's so many other things that are more important than the height. So I decided to go on another date.
Back in my younger days, I had this theory that I used to tell my buddies. You know what women really want? Okay, so this is my 20-year-old self. Right? This is my college. You know what women really want? They want a guy who can dance and a guy who can cook. If you can cook her a good meal, and if you're willing to dance with her at the dance, because there's so many guys out there who don't like to dance, and most women like to dance. So if you're a good dancer, you're halfway home. Anyway, so I don't know why I even brought that up.
I totally agree. I have a soft spot for a guy that can dance and that can cook a meal. He doesn't have to cook all the time, but it's nice.
Yeah, right. That's right.
Wake up in the morning and he made, scrambled eggs. And
I gave this advice to my sons when they got the dating. Guys, just learn how to make 3 dishes really well. Yeah. So when I was in college, I joined the dance club because there were no guys in the dance club. I was the only guy and one of the smartest moves I ever made in my life. I wanted to ask you about body count. The phrase, but how many people. So
right.
Now I do know this.
I had that question before an interview. This is interesting.
Yeah, I'm willing. Or maybe I'll edit this out, put it at the front of the interview to keep people. So for men, body count is a big deal. So if they meet a woman who's been online forever, she's been dating, she's been swiping right like crazy, and she's got a high body count, that's going to be a turnoff for most men. That her value is going to diminish in the eyes of the man. I don't know whether that's true for women or not, but I know that's true for men. So when you're talking to women, do you advise them one way or the other about going forward to experiment, to find out what they want? What do you generally?
Oh, it depends who is it. Sometimes I have to tell them to, slow down, and sometimes I have to encourage them to get out there and explore themselves sexually, because some women, like I had a client, she didn't have sex for 9 years, and another one 16 years. So she didn't have. So we got to look at this a little bit more open-minded, right?
Now, I'm asking specifically about younger women who are just starting out in life. They're just going into college. Because look, when a girl turns 18, she starts entering the scene, on college or whatever, and all of her friends are on the dating apps, and she starts getting on the dating apps. So she's getting out there. I mean, do you have that discussion with the younger women?
Let me ask you this, Edward. All right. So it's an interesting topic. Would you rather be with a woman who is inhibited and like doesn't know what she's doing in bed, or would you rather be with someone who is open to try things, and it's open to, like, she has no body inhibition, and she's open to you to try to do things, to, she like knows how to touch you, she knows her body, to explore herself so she can communicate to you like what to do? Or would you rather have someone who's kind of like just staying there and like not really know her? Like anything else, experience kind of teaches you what and how. And okay. I think I don't even think it should be discussed. Obviously it can come up, but I don't think it should be really discussed until you're really comfortable. Listen, we live in very different reality now, right? Than, 30 years ago, right? When I was younger, like I'm 46 now, but people choose to stay single. And I had a conversation with my son. I went on a few dates, and I think on the third date, he said, "Oh, did you like him?" And I said, "No, he's not for me." And he said, "Mom, like you are, never gonna find someone. Like you make it so hard."
Your son said, I like him. He's looking out for his mom. He's looking out for his mom. He's a good kid.
And I said, babe, I am certain about, what I want in a man, and I'll rather stay single than be with someone that's not aligned with me. And it's okay to stay single until the right person comes. And sometimes it's a little bit of you got to try to see how it works. You could align with the person in so many ways, and you go and have sex, and sex sucks. It can happen. And he might not even be open, because it's a very sensitive subject for a man to say, hey, can we do it this way a little bit? Not every man is open for that, right? So the ability of a woman and the experience also matters in that sexual encounter, right? So together, by having experience, like in anything else, if you drive a car one time, you have a lot less experience than if you drive a car 155 times, right? You're going to react different. You're going to do different things in case of something happening. In sex, it's the same thing. I see it rather as I'm not encouraging people go and sleep with as many people, and because I think people who have a lot of sexual encounters, actually they're mistaken. It's a way of searching significance and loving kind of with the wrong vehicle, right? So sex would be the wrong vehicle. And if at some point things are not working out, you're gonna break up. So we live now, we're talking about choices and everything, like it's kind of hard to keep just like a 1, 2, 3 body counts in a society where we are mainly single. And you kind of try, because you can ask a guy to wait 6 months for you until you're very sure, but not a lot of guys are waiting 6 months for a woman.
No. But the only way you're going to know is by doing, or by exploring, by checking it out. Like you said, taking that test drive. That's the only way Unfortunately, you're going to find out. Okay, I got two questions for you here. These are kind of dangerous questions, so I saved them to the end just in case. Yeah, just in case. Yeah. Well, the first one isn't so dangerous. Okay, so this question is for your young women who are just starting out in the dating scene. Do you find most of them are looking for actual relationships, or do they just want to date?
Or with women between their 30 and sort of 60, so not so much with 18-year-olds. I feel like 18-year-olds are still very young in understanding themselves, knowing what they want. So they need that exploration process in most. So the question was, what specifically?
Well, the women, I said young women, really the women you work with in general. Are they generally looking for a lifetime partner, or are they just looking to date, to have fun?
No, they women tend to want a relationship a lot more than a man, because a relationship makes them feel safe. A relationship, so if you go online dating and you scroll through like women profile, most of them want a relationship, and they might accept like a friends with benefits one if then she's not emotionally available, or she's just too hurt, she has sexual needs, and she might just find a friends with benefits. But most of the time, a woman wants a relationship because she wants the commitment. She wants to know she's safe. You're going to be there for me. And that relationship commitment makes her feel like, okay, I can let you all the way in.
Now, here's a big one. And I want an honest answer based on your professional opinion to this question.
Sure.
Most men, almost all men, assume that women do not have as high a sex drive as they do. You always hear about these marriages, the stereotype, the image that the woman is always saying, no, I've got a headache. No, I'm not in the mood. It always seems like the man is always begging for sex from his wife. So is that true? Do women have a smaller sex drive than men?
No.
Okay.
Well, okay. So we are built differently, right? So biologically, there is a difference, right? So men are ready for sex all the time because of their biology. So there's not a lot that has to happen for them to really be ready in comparison with a woman. A woman needs to feel safe. She has usually certain conditions. A man, John Gray says this, a man gets connected with his feelings through sex. A woman has to have feelings first to want to have sex. So she has to feel a certain way in order for her to waken up the desire for sex. So that's why she makes a guy usually jump through the hoops. Because she needs that certainty. I told a guy recently, I said, I just need to know, are you worthy of me? Are you worthy of my gift to you? Because I like, it's not a matter of just having sex. Sex for me, it's a next level of connection. So am I connected with you enough right here so I can get to here?
Ironically, then, if a woman gets to a point where she feels she's well into a marriage, maybe they have some children, she's well into the marriage and she's confident, her man is a provider. He comes home every day. He doesn't flirt with other girls. She's confident that he's her man. So she doesn't have to worry about him anymore. So since she has that comfort level with him, that she's safe with him, that she doesn't feel the need to provide as much sex because she knows he's not going anywhere.
This is one of the problems in we become complacent. When we go to that sort of exclusivity stage, as well as the commitment stage, right? Commitment, like when we get engaged or married, right? And then we tend to get distracted. We have kids, we have goals, we have to provide, we have to blah, blah, blah. And we stop doing what we used to do. So now what most couples are facing is they stop fulfilling each other's needs into the relationship. So partners sometimes tend to look outside the relationship, not through infidelity, just for different sources of love, attention, significance, and so in order for a woman to want to be sexually attracted to the man, right, to have that desire awaken in her, both partners have to have a certain interaction and keep the tension going. Little post notes, like with my ex-partner, we used to leave each other little, put it in his lunchbox or pocket or wallet, and I'll have to go exploring in the house. He will leave like a little note somewhere written all the time differently. So it became this like, where is it? And it was nice, right? So it kept me. And then we had this another routine that when he will come, so we didn't live together, but when he will come over, we will spend minimum to 5 to 15 minutes together, hugging, balancing our energy, and really touch is our love language. So we'll really touch each other, to create that balance between us and just really connect. So that allowed us to have a very different interaction throughout the day compared to, hey, honey, I'm home. Yep. Work at that. And we need to have things in place that are constant, creating that sexual tension, energy. A woman whose love language is its acts of service. This was the guy that I was in a toxic relationship with. So he used to be really good at relaxing me, because I'll be really busy in the evenings, and he wanted me to be with him. And I'll have to spend 45 minutes with my son, put him to bed, clean up the kitchen after dinner, make sandwiches for next day for work and all that. So I was, in the evening, I was so busy in my masculine energy. The last thing I had on my mind was sex, right? And he will sit there like, waiting for me, like, come on already. And I'll be like, I got to do that.
Like a golden retriever.
Yeah,
like a puppy.
Until he understood, like, if you have approached me when I was in the middle of that, I would have been like, get out of my face.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you work only with local ladies, or do you have a global clientele?
Internationally? I had people from everywhere around the world: United States, New Zealand, UK, Belgium. So, I mean, most of my session, I can't even remember how long it's been since I've done a face-to-face session, because it's so convenient to do it online now. You don't have to put up with the traffic, it's just easier. Most of my coaching sessions are online, and my clients are from everywhere around the world, yes.
Do you have a website that people can check out?
I am on social media, so I'm as Christina Davy on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Okay. So if you just type my name, Christina Davy, just as it's displayed, you're going to find me right there. You can't miss me. Red hair.
Christina, this has been lovely. And I wasn't sure where I was going to take this conversation. I thought I would let nature take its course, and I'm glad it did. You are a charming woman, and you obviously have a lot of insight in regards to relationships and dating. So I really hope that if someone out there feels that they need help with their dating or with their relationships, beyond making you guys a sandwich, I hope that they reach out to you and have a chat with you. So thank you very much, Christina, for being on the channel.
Before you go, can I give you a quick advice?
Please.
Just enjoy the woman's energy and don't ask her about the body count.
Okay. Oh, I would never. I would never do that. Partly because I'd be afraid that she's going to ask me mine. So I would never.
Thank you so much for having me here. You are a wonderful host, and I enjoyed this so much. Thank you.
So this is Ed Anderson, along with Christina Davy from Australia, signing out.
Copy that.